Disappearing can be a power move, but not all silence is the same. Some people disappear to escape, others disappear to take control. Ghosting and no contact may look similar, but one keeps you weak, while the other puts you in complete control. Ghosting is avoidance. It's impulsive, emotional, and reactive. People ghost because they don't want to deal with discomfort, not because they're taking back power. No contact is different. It's intentional, it's strategic. It forces the other person to sit in their own thoughts, to feel the emptiness, to wonder why you're no longer there. Ghosting makes you look unsure, afraid, and emotionally reactive. No contact makes you look untouchable. At first, they don't care. They assume they still have access to you, that you'll reach out, that the silence is temporary. But as time passes, and they hear nothing, and you remain distant, that's when the fear sets in. They start questioning what happened, replaying conversations, wondering if they made a mistake. Because when someone realizes they can't reach you anymore, when they see you moving forward without them, when they understand that the door is permanently closed, that's when the regret begins. And the best part? You didn't have to say a word. In this video, we'll break down the key differences between ghosting and no contact, and reveal which one truly puts you in control. The core difference: why ghosting and no contact are not the same. Not all silence is equal. Some people disappear because they don't know how to handle confrontation. Others disappear because they want to control the situation. Ghosting is avoidance. It's impulsive. It's emotional. People ghost because they don't want to deal with awkward conversations or uncomfortable emotions. They leave without explanation, not to gain power, but to escape it. No contact is the opposite. It's not about running away. It's about taking control. It's calculated. It's intentional. It forces the other person to sit with their own thoughts, to feel the emptiness, to wonder why you're no longer there. Ghosting leaves uncertainty, but it doesn't create power. The person who is ghosted may feel confused, but they will eventually move on. They might be annoyed, but they won't necessarily be obsessed. No contact, on the other hand, is psychological warfare. It creates a sense of loss. It flips the power dynamic. The person on the receiving end is left wondering, waiting, hoping for a response that never comes. At first, they may not notice. They assume you'll return, that they still have access to you. But as time passes, and the silence remains, something shifts. Doubt sets in. Confusion turns into anxiety, and anxiety turns into obsession. Because when someone realizes they are truly cut off, when they see that they have lost control, only then do they start to chase. And that's the difference. Ghosting makes you look unsure, afraid, and emotionally weak. No contact makes you look untouchable. One is avoidance, the other is power. But how does each one affect the person on the receiving end? Let's break down the psychological impact of both. The psychological impact, how each one affects the other person. Disappearing creates an emotional void, but the way that void is perceived depends on why and how you disappear. Ghosting leaves them confused. It's unexpected. One moment you're there, the next you're gone. There's no closure, no explanation, no reason. At first, they might feel hurt, even rejected. But over time, most people rationalize it. They were immature. They didn't know how to communicate. They weren't worth my time anyway. The pain fades, the confusion settles. They move on. No contact is different. It doesn't just create confusion, it creates obsession. Because no contact isn't about disappearing suddenly, it's about making them feel the loss. It's about withdrawing your presence in a way that forces them to question everything. At first, they assume you'll be back, that this is temporary, that they still have control. Then, the days pass, and nothing. The silence becomes unbearable. They start replaying every conversation, analyzing every word, checking your social media, wondering if you've moved on. They don't just miss you, they start to panic, because when something is truly gone, when they realize they can't reach you, it triggers something deeper, the fear of losing control. Ghosting can make them question what happened. No contact makes them question themselves. One makes them annoyed, the other makes them desperate. That's why no contact isn't just a strategy, it's a psychological trap. And when the obsession kicks in, that's when the real power shift happens. The power shift. Which one puts you in control? Ghosting and no contact both involve silence, but only one of them truly shifts the balance of power. Ghosting feels weak. It's abrupt. It's impulsive. It's often done out of avoidance rather than strategy. When you ghost someone, you leave them hanging, but you also leave yourself open to interpretation. They might feel hurt, they might be confused, but eventually they rationalize it. They didn't have the courage to face me. They didn't know what they wanted. They weren't worth my time anyway. The emotional sting fades. They move on. But no contact? That's different. No contact isn't about running away. It's about reversing control. It's not just cutting them off. It's making them feel the absence. At first, they act indifferent. They assume you'll return, that this is temporary. Then the days pass. You remain silent. And suddenly, something shifts. Doubt creeps in. Wait. Why haven't they reached out? Are they really moving on? Did I make a mistake? What starts as confidence turns into uncertainty. Uncertainty turns into frustration. Frustration turns into obsession. Because when someone realizes they can't reach you, that they've lost access to you, that you're no longer within their control, that's when they start chasing. This is how no contact turns the tables. Ghosting might make them annoyed. No contact makes them desperate. One gives them a reason to forget you. The other makes them fear losing you forever. And that is why no contact is the ultimate power move. The mistakes that destroy your power. No contact is only powerful if it's executed flawlessly. One small mistake and you lose everything. The most common mistake: breaking no contact too soon. At first, they feel nothing. They assume you'll be back. They believe they still have control. But as time passes, the uncertainty builds. And then you break. You send a message. You check in. You give them exactly what they were waiting for. And just like that, they win. Because now they know. They know you were thinking about them. They know you were affected. They know the silence was never about them losing you. It was just a game. And the second they realize that, the power shifts right back to them. The second mistake: seeking closure. You don't need closure. Closure is a trap. It's a lie we tell ourselves to justify reaching out. But the truth is, if someone cared enough to give you real closure, you wouldn't have to ask for it. When you go searching for answers, all you're really doing is handing them back control. The last mistake? Leaving the door open. If they think you're still waiting, they won't feel loss. If they believe they can come back whenever they want, they won't feel regret. The moment you allow them to think there's still a way in, they will never chase you. Regret only happens when they believe they've lost something permanently. One text, one reaction, one moment of weakness. That's all it takes to destroy everything you've built. And once you break no contact, you can't just restart it and expect the same effect. They already know you'll come back. But if you master no contact the right way, the final stage is where the real power begins. The ultimate power move, making them chase you. No contact isn't just about making them miss you, it's about making them obsessed with winning you back. At first, they assume you'll return. They tell themselves they just need time. They'll break eventually. They can't ignore me forever. But then, you don't. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, and suddenly something shifts. They start checking your social media. They start wondering if you've moved on. They start questioning if they were the ones who lost. And when that thought enters their mind, it doesn't leave. Because now they're the ones stuck in uncertainty. They start overthinking. They start creating fake scenarios. They start chasing closure. But this time, you're not giving it to them. The moment they realize you're truly gone, the real regret sets in. Emotional detachment is the key. As long as you still care, they still hold power. But when you detach, they feel it. They feel the shift. They feel the loss. And suddenly, they start chasing. Because people don't chase what's available. They chase what's scarce. And when they see you thriving, when they see you glowing up, but can't reach you, that's the final blow. Because now they realize something terrifying. They thought they could come back whenever they wanted. They thought you were still an option. But now, it's too late. They don't just miss you. They don't just regret losing you. They start punishing themselves for letting you go. And at this point, you're not just ignoring them. You've taken back full control. The final execution. Silence can be weak, or it can be powerful. The difference? Control. Ghosting is avoidance. No contact is deliberate strategy. Ghosting might make them confused for a moment. But no contact? It makes them obsess over you. Because the human brain hates uncertainty. It can handle rejection. It can handle closure. But it can't handle the unknown. And when you remove yourself completely, without explanation, without emotion, without giving them anything to hold on to, they don't just miss you, they start to fear never having you again. Because no contact doesn't just make them regret losing you. It makes them question everything. At first they act like they don't care. But as time passes, as they see you moving on, as they realize they can't reach you anymore, that's when the real punishment begins. And the worst part for them, you didn't have to say a single word. Now it's your turn. Which one do you think is more powerful, ghosting or no contact? Comment below and let's discuss.